Hello, guys. Welcome back. It's July 5th, 2025. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono, and I'm here with my co-host, Elijah Weintraub. Eli, how was your fourth?
It was a good fourth. I hope everyone had a good and safe fourth. I'm
Yep.
sure everybody's trying to wake up now, and after sleeping in and hearing the loud fireworks last night, we're glad you could join us. The weather is great today. It wasn't as beautiful as yesterday, but it's still great. It's still
Yeah,
beautiful
nice.
today, but it's hot today compared to yesterday.
Well, it's the summer. It's
That's
supposed
the
to be
motto.
hot,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But anyway, so of course we start our show with the monologue, and that's always sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York. And Eli, I'm kind of going to mix sports into what yesterday really signifies for us. And you and I support, our military and everything. And you know, yesterday was definitely something to celebrate. And I have a couple pictures I think later on that'll be indicative of what July 4th means to me, and hopefully it means to all of our other listeners. The fact that we do have independence and how many men sacrificed their lives to get us to this point, and coming up on 250 years of our independence, which is great, right? So when I tie it back into a July 4th sporting event, I was recalling back in 1983, Dave Righetti pitched a no hitter, 4-0 shutout of the Boston Red Sox on July 4th, which happened to be, of course, George Steinbrenner, his birthday. So that was like a really great moment. And yeah, Righetti was, yeah, he was a 500 pitcher for most of his career. And after the Yankees, he bounced around for a while. But that was a very memorable day. And what was key about it is the final out, he struck out one of the best hitters of all time in Wade Boggs, who only struck out 36 times the whole season. So, I mean, the whole fairy tale no hitter, right? They're very rare, and especially in today's day and age where these guys don't get out of the sixth inning, even if they're throwing a no hitter. Back 42 years ago, it was a very special day, and that's really the only no hitter I ever actually got a chance to watch from start to finish. So it was a great thing, and great memory. The Yankees, and we're going to jump right into Major League Baseball. How
yeah. I
about
think
that?
that's
Because
the
we're
perfect
on that
segment
topic.
right into it. And what a
Yeah.
way to what a memory from the fourth, and good way to segment into baseball, which is pretty interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially the ride for
Yep.
the Yankees and the Mets right now. They're in the middle of the Subway Series, and both these
Yep.
teams are right now. We're not what they were at the start of the season.
They're struggling. They're
They're
struggling.
struggling.
Yeah.
That is the bottom line.
Yep. But this is actually it's going to be a good series, and of course, Judge hit a home run. Soto had 3 hits, hit another home run. Don't roll your eyes at the Aaron Judge. The guy's hitting 360 with 33 home runs, and
We're gonna keep on taking every single show.
yeah,
Wait to
it
the
has to be.
postseason. I'm gonna replay
Yeah,
every video that we have, and then we'll talk.
but we know we're coming up on the All Star break, right? So that's
That's the problem.
right. So, that's a chance for people to reassess where they are, and what trades they're considering, and how to improve their teams. And I think one of the best surprise teams for me is the Chicago Cubs. And
Yeah,
they hit 8 home runs yesterday. I know it's in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field, but 8 home runs is 8 home runs, and they're really playing good baseball.
they really
Kid,
are.
he's leading the majors in RBIs, and this kid Pete Crow Armstrong, he's a stud and up and coming. So keep an eye on the Cubbies. But the Mets and Yankees both lost their hold on first place this past week. So, but it's a 162 game, Eli.
And there's still plenty more to go. That's for sure.
Plenty more to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that this is a great series right now between the Yankees and the Mets. Obviously, we will see which team comes out on top as the better team. Obviously, that is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really a good series to watch out for. And they're really trying to get a battle back into first place. But I think it's
Yeah.
also a great time for the All-Star break. These teams now get a chance to rest, regain, and see how can they be better and improve as we head to almost a final stretch, as you will. of the
Yep.
baseball season.
And if we recap the first half of the season, what's one of the biggest surprise names that's basically come out of nowhere and put himself on the map? And that's Cal Raleigh for the Seattle. He's got
Yeah,
hit another 2 home runs. He hit an absolute monster last night. This guy's got
he did.
35 home runs. I mean, oh,
He is.
right. So there's always these players that start to. We didn't
To
know
just
about
surprise
him.
us.
Yeah, we didn't know about him in the beginning of the season. And like, here's an example: James Wood on the Nationals, up and coming star, and so these are names that we're going to become familiar with going forward. Which a lot of people didn't know anything about him, but yeah, a lot of baseball to come. And there's going to be some trades. Like I said,
Yeah,
the Yankees bullpen is struggling, and I will say this because I know we have a loyal listener, Frankie Pisani, is listening to me, and I'm almost moving over to his camp on this Anthony Volpe thing. This is his third year, and he's not living up to the expectations. And listen, nobody expected him to be Derek Jeter, right? We know that.
correct.
Nobody's going to be Derek Jeter. But he could be a DD Gregorius who gave us 3 or 4 really good years.
He
But
really did.
he's hitting 220, and he can't hit a slider that's thrown over the plate and goes to the outside. He swings at it every single time. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
ready to throw him to the Wolves. However, he has to start playing like he was the prize prospect for the New York Yankees, and he was untouchable in trades. But he's got to start living up to some expectations the way Jason Dominguez is doing.
100%. And
Yeah.
there is no question. He's got to live up to that expectation. If he doesn't, it's going to be a long road ahead. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's obviously one of the toughest spots to fill on, especially playing for the New York Yankees. So,
It
like I
ain't
said,
easy.
we got a lot of things to come. But Eli, we can't move off Major League Baseball without acknowledging what July 1st was. You know what July 1st was?
No, I don't know.
It was Bobby Bonilla Day. And
Oh,
Bobby
very nice.
Bonilla has been getting $1.2 million for the Mets for the past 20 years, and it goes till 2035, all because the Mets owed him 5.9 million and they decided to defer it because
Eh,
and this is a strange coincidence. The owner of the Mets, Wilpon, at the time said we could take this 5.9 million, make it 100 million, and then pay him off. And instead, they signed this ridiculous deal that he's been retired for 20 years, and he's got 10 more years to get $1.2 million from the Mets. And the Mets took that money. The thing I was bringing up with Wilpon, he invested with Bernie Madoff, and we know how the Bernie Madoff
right.
situation went down, right? But it's always notable, always gets recognition, and be quite honest with you, Bonilla thinks it's great. He's embraced it. He's just all he does once a year is go to the mailbox and get a $1.2 million check. Pretty good deal.
Only
Pretty good deal
1.2.
and pretty good agent he had.
Yeah, and only 1.2.
All
Only.
right. So second half of the season coming up, and what's next on our agenda, Eli?
Well, let's say hello to Frankie. He says good morning. Happy 4th. And the Yankees, well, you see the comment.
Well, the Yankees suck. That's
Yeah.
what he's saying. But thanks, Frankie, for listening. And like I said, I'm moving toward your camp and the Volpe thing. But Eli, what's next?
Well, let's go to the NBA. Let's start off with the New York Knicks as they hire a head coach, Mike Brown, as their next head coach. That was announced this week.
How
Only
about
took them
that?
5 weeks, and the question is now, will he live up to the expectation as the previous head coach? Will he bring them to the finals? And will they make a run for the money?
Well, here's the thing with Mike Brown. He's been around, and I heard all the pundits talking about he's qualified. He's the right guy for the job. He's been bounced around. Yes, he's been assistant coach under Popovich and, Coach LeBron James as an assistant in many of his
Doesn't
stops.
matter.
Right. And he's been coach of the year 2 times, but he's also been fired 3 times. And
Only.
I think this was almost, if you really look at the list that the Knicks had, right? Their first choice was Jason Kidd, and that didn't work out. And then it was Malone, and then it was all
Mhm.
these guys. And then we get to Mike Brown, and everyone says that's a great pick. Well, it's not going to work out for the Knicks. Mike Brown is
Ooh.
not that type of a head coach that he's going to.
Ooh.
Is he any better than Tom Thibodeau? Absolutely not. I mean, that's the whole thing here. What were you thinking? Yeah, I mean, you
They
traded
weren't.
Tom Thibodeau for Mike Brown. I mean, come on. Um, this is going to set the Knicks back. I guarantee you. And I'm saying there's a 25% chance he doesn't even last the season.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But you see, we could say so much about the coach and everything, but it also depends on your players as well. Yeah, it's a big factor of the coach, but right now they don't have what it takes at the
I,
moment. They still
look,
need a couple more, I think.
that's the big debate. Everyone right now thinks because of the way the Pacers, right? Miles Turner was one of those free agent deals we were going to talk about, and so Halliburton is out. So now people are saying the Knicks are the favorites in the Eastern Conference because we know how Boston just blew everything up
Right.
and whatever. But so I respectfully disagree with you, Eli. I think
Yeah.
they have the tools with Brunson and Carl Anthony Towns and some other pieces around. They do have the talent. Will Mike Brown get all that talent out of these guys? These are
I don't know.
NBA players.
That's the
And
question.
right, this is so different than college basketball in the fact that you can't tell a guy who making $50 million what to do on a basketball court. And that
Yeah.
was frustrating part about the whole Mike
Frankie
Brown.
says Mike Brown will not be good. Only reason he had success was because he had LeBron in his prime. Definitely not better than Thibodeau's.
That's absolutely spot on. That's exactly my perspective
Yep.
on it. And but let's talk about a couple other
Big
kind of
trades
big
and
moves, right? I mean,
yeah.
Dame Lillard gets cut by the Bucks. Now, what does that
Yeah.
do to the Milwaukee thing, right? They just traded and got who'd the Bucks get?
Uh Miles Turner,
Oh, Miles Turner, right. So it was
4 year
Miles Turner.
107,
Right.
107 million.
And does that make the Milwaukee Bucks a contender again? Well, that's one
Well,
piece. I think they did bring back Bobby Portis Jr. So this is all on Giannis. So he's the one calling the shots here,
well,
and how this works out for them will determine whether he's going to go somewhere else next year. Because in the NBA, all you have to do is say trade me, like a James Harden
well,
and
then
Kevin Durant and all those other guys. But
we can go
yeah,
on and on about that.
lot. And how about the money though, Eli? Look at the contract that Shea Gilgeous Alexander said. And okay,
4 years,
MVP,
285.
MVP, playoff MVP, no question about it. He deserves the money. But we have just crossed in to the $70 million a year threshold, which means 80 million, 90 million, and not too distant future, $100 million a year for a basketball player.
Highest paid annual salary player in the league right now.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
But here's the other thing. There
Listen,
are guys, all these free agent signings that we've talked about, and Brooke Lopez and DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton going to the Los Angeles Lakers. Is that the missing piece? I think
maybe.
he's not a bad player, but this is another guy who's going to be making $40 million a year. And who knows what's going on with the Lakers? Is LeBron going to go back to Cleveland and rescue the franchise? Because I consider them even more of a threat in the Eastern Conference to win it than the Knicks. But
Well,
that
yeah.
remains to be seen. So, yeah, DeAndre Ayton. I mean, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think that's certainly the missing piece in LA.
I don't think so either. But back to Shane Gills Alexander, that is a ton of money. And to be honest with you, yeah, he was MVP worthy. He's absolutely great. He deserves a good amount of pay. But to become the highest paid, I don't think so. I
But
think that
it's
was just a
temporary.
little. I think it's just a little too excessive, I think, in my opinion.
You
I
could
mean, if
say
you give
that,
this
but
player to Curry, LeBron, or these guys that have been in the league for so long that actually played very good basketball or set records and stuff, I would say, yes, absolutely, you deserve the money. But the Thunder literally just almost had a shot at losing to the Indiana Pacers if it wasn't for Halburn's injury. And you're
But they
telling me
didn't.
that they didn't, though. But if you look at it, he could have lost that game. He could have not been at it where he is now.
Well, Eli, think
I just
about
think
this.
that
You just brought up two guys, right? You brought up um, LeBron James and Steph Curry. Remember,
right,
at the time, I mean, yes, they're on the back end of their careers, but at the time, those guys set the standard. First, it was 40, then it was 50, right? And that's
right.
the bar. And now,
He's setting the
there's
standard.
somebody going, coming back. 4 years from now, Cooper Flagg will be the highest paid guy making $100 million.
Maybe
That's how the NBA goes. So, a
it
lot
really
to
is. But I
talk
just think
about.
that's a lot of money, though. That's a
I
lot of
know.
money.
I know. And I know what my dear friend Alvin is listening, and he said, make sure you talk about the NBA. Well, okay, we talked about the NBA, right? So
Yeah, and there was a couple other signings. I guess you could say Trey Mann, a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Hornets. Clint Capella, 3-year, 21.5 with the Rockets. D'Angelo Russell, 2-year, $13 million with the Mavericks. That was pretty big there.
yeah.
Julius Randle signs 3-year, $100 million with the Timberwolves.
Oh,
That's a ton of money. It gets worse. Brooke Lopez, a 2-year, $18 million with the Clippers. Trey Jones, 3-year, $24 million with the Bulls. And the Bulls trade Lonzo Ball to the Cavaliers for Isaac Okoro. So
right.
yeah,
And guess how much money? There's not one of those guys that are making less than $20 million a year. So
yeah, pretty
not.
much. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So let's move on, Eli.
All right. Where would you like to go? We've
let's
got
let's go to the NHL because there's
yeah,
been a lot, just like the NBA and what's going to happen in Major League Baseball. A lot of free agent signings and trades and so forth. The Rangers trade, one of their prize prospects for years, but he didn't work out. Keandre Miller, stuff like that. It's happening. Mitch Marner, one of the great players for the Maple Leafs, he ends up in Vegas, right?
yeah.
So, lot of stuff going on, and Rangers signed a few free agents and re-signed a young kid, Will Cooley. Good pick, good sign there. How are your Devils doing in free agency?
Well, we traded Curtis Lazar the other day. It's been a lot of trades so far with the Devils. They re-signed Luke Hughes, which is good, and a couple other players they re-signed as well. Not as big named as like Luke Hughes, but not as bad. I heard the Rangers are pretty good though. That I'm disappointed about. Everybody was happy about that, and I'm not.
Well,
But
it's coming
yeah,
off a very disappointing year for us. So this is a bounce back year, and they got Mike Sullivan as the head coach. But yeah, and again, we're still reeling. I'm still a little shocked. I would have bet all my 50 cents in my piggy bank on Connor McDavid winning the Stanley Cup. So let's see if they can get back, or will the Florida Panthers, who re-signed Brad Marchand, so he's not going anywhere, and they got the core nucleus there. They could possibly go for 3 in a row. Be great.
yeah, it really is. JR checks in and he says that he just started his podcast. It's called JR Sports Talk. And congrats on that.
Good.
So yeah, but the NHL right now it's at its slow peak, I guess you could say. It's just matter of trades and signings and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So let's I just want to touch briefly. I know the NFL,
Yep.
not a lot of breaking news, but some interesting things going on in the NFL with the Steelers and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty
I
big.
don't know who's crazier, the Dolphins or the Steelers. And
How about both?
yeah, well, it's conceivable it's both. They trade Jonnu Smith, who's an all-pro tight end, and Jalen Ramsey for Micah Fitzpatrick. And
Yeah, that was
yeah, I mean,
interesting.
look, they're all good players and so forth, but what
What are we
it
doing here?
seems like such a lopsided trade to me. And sticking with the Steelers, I know they're in these negotiations right now with TJ Watt, but there's talk potentially trading him. I don't think it'll happen. They're gonna have to
Well, you know
pay him.
why the Steelers are getting all these players and doing this, right? It's because of one man. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He wants somebody, he's going to get him. And I guarantee you, there's somehow that he is attached to this.
Hmm.
And we keep forgetting that he's on the team, but he's on the team.
Yeah, I was
He's
kind
going
of
to be their
hoping not to
quarterback.
mention his name, but we did.
I mean, I didn't want to mention his name either, but unfortunately, there's a tie. There's a reason. And I think this is the reason.
Well, that's what's so frustrating about, when you see trades like this, and then you're talking about trading TJ Watt or
I
dangling him
know.
at least out there. Yeah, I mean, this is very similar to the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, right?
Right.
These guys are holding out there. They want these big deals. They want to get paid. And Watt and Hendrickson have certainly earned it. So I don't think trades are really going to happen, but these will be extended holdouts. They'll miss the beginning of camp, and then they'll sign the big deal. That's how.
Yeah. That's how it usually goes. But yeah.
Yeah. Enough with the NFL.
Enough. I think that's enough. We said Aaron Rodgers, and that ruined the whole mood.
All right.
Why don't you go ahead and give us a update on tennis and Wimbledon?
Well, as you know, the Wimbledon is underway, and we're approaching the third round. And how about this on the women's side? We've always said that the women's side, outside of Sabalenka and a couple other ones, but big names got knocked out early.
Coco Gauff,
Coco Gauff,
number one on the list. I
yeah,
couldn't
hold
believe
on.
it.
Yep. Madison Keys, Naomi Osaka. These, like I said, the women's side is up in the air, and on the men's side, I mean, how can Alcaraz and Djokovic not possibly end up as a great match in the semis, or at least because he's still in there, but Alcaraz is on fire. But there are the younger guns, right, that we talked about, Medvedev and Sinner, right? These are the guys. If they're going to be the next three, they got to start winning tournaments. They're out. So it's always exciting. It's on right now.
This was a surprise, actually. Seeing a lot of these names, goes considering the run that they had just a couple weeks ago at the French Open. So yeah, this is pretty crazy stuff here.
Oh, it's very, very exciting, and it's like I said, it's basically a 2-week event, and we're getting down to the Sweet 16 coming up pretty soon, and it's really exciting to see. And I know Mike Garvey is glued to the set watching these Wimbledon matches. And, is this the last time we're going to see Novak? Well, we keep saying
we
that.
Don't know, but I don't think it's the last time.
Right.
I don't think so yet.
We keep saying it, and he keeps
if he
coming
wins
back.
In one more, maybe, possibly, but no. Right now, I'm voting no.
Well, we're going to see, because we got another week to go, and I'm trying to see if there were any other upsets that happened while we've been on the air, and I don't see that, so we're good.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some soccer. And I'll give you the soccer update. In the CONCACAF, the final is set. The United States is set to take on Mexico in the championship. The United States secured their spot by defeating Guatemala 2-1, and Mexico defeated Honduras 1-0. The championship game is set for tomorrow, Sunday at 7 o'clock on Fox from NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Meanwhile, in the Women's Euro tournament has just begun. And here's a look at the standings chart. Group A has finished playing its first game, as you will. Norway and Finland both won their games with 3 points. In their standings chart, Switzerland and Iceland did not win their game, so they played one game already. They have 0 points in the standings. Group B, Spain and Italy won their games, 3 points for them. Portugal and Belgium, they did not win, however. They have 0 points and 1 loss in their standings. In Group C, Sweden and Germany both have 1 win and 3 points. Poland and Denmark have 1 loss, and unfortunately that means no points for them. Group D gets underway today. We have Wales taking on Netherlands at 12 o'clock on Fox, and at 3 o'clock France takes on England. 3 o'clock on Fox. Tomorrow, Group A is back at it. Norway takes on Finland at 12 o'clock on FS1. A good game there because they both have a win in their standings chart already. And Switzerland takes on Iceland, 3 p.m. on FS1. The quarterfinals begin July 16th, and the championship game will be held on July 27th.
Eli, I'm going to ask for your assistance, because I know Diego will be fact-checking, if I say something wrong on soccer. But I kept getting this mixed up. So The FIFA World Cup is 2026. And
Correct.
what is this? So this is currently the CONCACAF or just
This
Club
is the
World Cup? What is
CONCACAF,
that?
and we also have a Club World Cup. The Club World Cup is not like your country like team. It's like the
Yeah, there's
mini
very
football clubs,
different
as you
teams.
will. I
Yeah,
call it the
different.
mini football clubs.
Okay.
And right now there's like some games happening. I believe MetLife Stadium. I'm not sure if there's one today. I didn't go into detail with that. But there are games happening. In mini football clubs. I call them mini because they're not like the main countries as the non-soccer, folks know as.
Okay.
So yeah, and of course, with the Euro tournament for the women's, it's the European soccer teams, their national teams, of course, in playing in that big tournament. Kind of similar to what we saw with the men just a couple years ago.
Yeah. All right. It's very hard to keep track of all this.
Yeah,
But the people are watching it. This is big
it
time
is some
stuff.
big stuff, and especially for the United States because we are still in it and we're playing for the championship tomorrow versus Mexico, and that is going to be a very interesting and a tough game to watch tomorrow. United States isn't known for winning much in men's soccer. Could they win the CONCACAF tomorrow? Do they have a shot against Mexico? Those are big questions. It was a tough game the other day versus Guatemala, even though they got the victory 2-1. So the question is, can the United States pull off the victory? Can they win the championship tomorrow? We'll find out 7 o'clock on Fox tomorrow.
Well, I'm gonna ask the question because um I know the U.S. is playing, but apparently, all like some of their best players are not playing in this. I don't understand why
I
that is.
mean, that's probably just saving for the World Cup and probably resting up, and it's not as a big of a tournament as the World Cup is. I mean, this is a pretty big tournament for the CONCACAF, but not as big as the World Cup coming up. And you
Yeah,
want to
because I,
really
I
save them.
think
An Achilles injury does take a year and to recover if that is the injury that they do, get as a per se. And I
yeah,
think resting is key right now. But
yeah. All right.
we'll see who they play tomorrow. It's gonna be a very big game. I'm sure they want to put in their tough and better players and stuff and go for the money because this is a big game tomorrow. And again, the question is, will the United States win a soccer championship? That is the big question. The women's, they absolutely can get it done. The men's, we haven't seen really in a while and ever. So we would like to see that possibly happen.
Yeah,
A couple
overall.
comments
Yeah.
coming in. JR says, what did you all think about the Kevin Durant trade to Houston? He just wants to,
Jr. Like I said, I mean the guy has been on 8 different teams. Is that going to push? Yes, the Houston Rockets are an up and coming team, no question about it. But is Kevin Durant at 37 probably by the start of next year? Yes, he's still an incredible shooter, but I don't know. Like I said, he doesn't seem to fit in any team that he's been gone to, went to over the past, 6 years. So I don't think it makes Houston an instant favorite, especially in the Western Conference. But hey, if somebody wants to pay Kevin Durant $50 million, go ahead.
William checks in. He says, good morning. Good morning, William. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, William, I certainly do appreciate it. And like I said, I'm conceding here that Eli is our resident soccer expert. So
No problem.
um,
I got this far from here. And something else I'm also pretty good at, which I'll give you the next update for the WNBA, as the
okay,
Indiana Fever are your Commissioner's Cup championship. And although Caitlin Clark did not play due to an injury, the Indiana Fever did celebrate pretty well and are the Commissioner's Cup championship. The question is now, will there be a curse? Is there a curse? Because you won the Commissioner's Cup, does that mean you're not going to win the main championship coming up later on in October? So we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, the Indiana Fever stay at a 9-8, right down in the middle in first place in the WNBA. The Minnesota Lynx at 15-2. One of the biggest news stories from the WNBA this week, they're expanding to 3 different major cities starting in 2028. They'll be heading to Cleveland in 2028, Detroit in 2029, and Philadelphia in 2030 as expansion teams as we're trying to grow the WNBA. This is some pretty exciting stuff to see. And by 2028, we'll have a new team in place. We saw this year Golden State was just recently added, the Golden State Valkyries, and they're doing pretty good. They're just one place ahead of Indiana right now at 9-7, and just the beginning for the WNBA.
yeah.
Taking a look at the schedule for today and tomorrow in the WNBA, LA takes on Indiana tonight at 7 o'clock on NBA TV. Golden State takes on Minnesota, 8 p.m. on local TV. Tomorrow's national schedule: Seattle takes on New York, 1 p.m. on CBS. Las Vegas takes on Connecticut, 4 o'clock on local TV. Check your local listings. And Chicago, Minnesota, 7 o'clock on local TV. Of course, check your local listings for all those games. Some pretty exciting stuff in the WNBA. It is past the Commissioner's Cup. We're near this halfway point, as you will. And we're nearing the All-Star break coming up very soon. And it's pretty cool to see some expansion happening, heading to 3 major cities beginning in 2028.
Yeah. What do you think of the WNBA? Like, I guess this Commissioner's Cup is like the NBA in-season tournament, which means
It is.
absolutely
It's exactly the
nothing,
same.
right? It just means
It's
more
just
money for those who win it. That's all.
right. Man,
And I
it really
bet,
isn't as much as the NBA, though. Let's keep that in mind as well.
and I bet though, attendance has been down in the WNBA since Caitlin Clark has missed a
But
few
keep in
games.
mind, though, Caitlin Clark is for one team, not all the teams in the WNBA. You look at the Liberty, they look like pretty good crowds when you go and watch the games at the Barclays Center, and when you see the games on My9 or Fox 5, they seem pretty good. William Hathaway says the WNBA All-Star Game is coming up. How much ratings this will get? This will be on July 19th. Who is a surprise team this year so far? To answer your question, I don't know about the ratings yet because it all depends on if Caitlin Clark is healthy. Because I think the fans of the WNBA and non-fans of WNBA, they want to look out for one player in particular, and that's Caitlin Clark. If she's healthy and she's playing, I think you could see good ratings in the millions. If not, I would say maybe 1 million, if not a little less, in the WNBA All-Star ratings. It's not going to be at its peak like it is in the NBA, and I think that's just the bottom line. Surprise team so far. I don't know. I think it's got to be like maybe Atlanta and Phoenix. I think I'm surprised to see them, in the top 5 right now. Golden State, I'm actually also very surprised for a brand new team. They're doing quite well, actually, and ahead of the Fever's pretty good. So we'll see how that goes. And JR comments as well. He says, are you surprised at all by how good the Golden State Valkyries are doing lately, the new expansion team? And I heard that Detroit is getting a WNBA team in 2029. Yes, we mentioned that, JR, and yes, 2029, Detroit gets it. Yeah, a little surprised about Golden State. I think that is a pretty good surprise, and see them actually pretty good than Indiana. That's pretty good to see. Now the question is, can they continue this hot streak? Can they win the more playoff games, and could they go to the championship? That's the big question. But right now, I'm very surprised actually by how well they're playing.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's a good point that William was making about, what is the interest? And I guess if you have the Angel Reeses and the Caitlin Clarks and so forth, people will watch the All-Star game. Personally, I don't know that I could set my clock for it, be honest with you. But
well, I mean, we honestly could, because at this point, MLB is going to be going on to their break to do the All-Star stuff. WNBA is going to. How much do you got left? Just Wimbledon soccer, and that's in Wimbledon, and that's in the morning, and soccer, which is like in the mid-afternoon. So in reality, you could set your clocks for that game in reality.
All right. Well, as long as it doesn't coincide, because I think Major League Baseball, that's really the only All-Star game that actually is interesting. Something that I still watch. I mean, and I go back 100 years.
The NHL. Did you not just see the 4 nations face off?
No,
that's exciting, and that is an All-Star game according to the NHL.
I'm not disputing that. We talked about it. It was great for the NHL. It was a great plan. But I'm saying they realized that no interest was being generated watching a score be 13-11, where there's no checking in an All-Star game. So the NHL remedied that by going to something like that 4-nation thing. Nobody watches the Pro Bowl. Nobody watches the NBA All-Star game.
But they watch that 4 nations, and nearly
right.
10 million people watch it.
100%.
And I watched it because if you watch USA Canada, that was amazing, that game. And I know we're going off topic, but that was just a little, info.
Yeah, but
William Hathaway says the Major League Baseball draft is coming up also, and he's right about that as well.
Yes, it's coming up. But as far as the All-Star game, I actually still do kind of enjoy, because you get to see some of the players that you don't see very often. Right, but there's some surprise guys that are starting. I mean, even the Tigers have 3 guys starting, etc. So it still generates a thing, and of course, the home run derby is something people can't live without either.
Well, yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I think it's now time for some random points. That is going to be sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And here we go.
all right, Eli, you want me to start, or would you like to go first?
I'll start it, I guess. I know, and then we'll pass it on to you. Let's start with the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
I knew that's what you were going to start with.
That's why
I
I had
knew
to
it.
start. I had to start, of course. None other than Joey Chestnut wins the men's competition, eating 70.5 hot dogs. And to
Yeah.
put a stat in perspective from yesterday's broadcast, that is 9 hot dogs per minute.
Yeah.
Jeez. Jeez. And
Knew you-
Mickey Sudo wins with 33 hot dogs. What a competition that is. And hey,
Well,
it's a
actually,
tradition
with,
of none less.
on the women's side, this Miko
Mickey
Suda,
Sudo.
right? She's won 11 and not 11 in a row, 11 out of 12, and the only time she missed one in that 12 years was when she was having a baby. So there
Yeah.
is really is no competition on the women's side, and
Right.
without Kobayashi,
Well,
is
I
there
mean, on the
really
men's,
any
same thing.
competition on the men's side?
In the men's, if it wasn't for Joey Chestnut, there was no competition. Right now, if you look at Joey Chestnut,
Yeah.
it was 70 to 45 at one point. How are you going to beat that number?
Where was Kobayashi in all this? He didn't. He wasn't in it.
I don't think he was in it,
Huh,
but still.
right.
And yes, as William mentioned, Joey won his title back, and he did, and
Right.
fair and square. A
Yeah.
couple other notes. For those interested, the Stand Up to Cancer telecast on all channels will be live on August 15th from Nashville. Ahmed Freed has been named a studio host for NBC Sports NBA coverage. Again, NBC is getting NBA back, so they're just trying to build up their lineup and getting ready and all set, good to go. And finally, the newly drafted Roger McQueen of the Anaheim Ducks chose his number officially. And I guess he really likes Lightning McQueen because he chose number 95, which is the same number as the car Lightning McQueen from the Disney movie. And now, I think to make it official, all that the Ducks have to do is when he scores a goal, play Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts. And I think we're all set and good to go. And by the way, that is a great song. Life is a Highway. It is a good song. And that gets me going. JR comments, he says, you have the MLB draft during All-Star Week, which if you're a big sports fan like me, I watched the draft as well of all the professional sports leagues. Yeah, it's pretty good, but in the middle of the season, that's interesting.
Yeah, and there's also like 25 rounds in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it takes forever.
As opposed to the NBA, which has 2, and the NHL, which probably has 6.
Yeah, so that's what I got. Jim, take it away.
All right, couple of things. So, great golf tournament last week, the Rocket Mortgage Classic, which was won by Aldrich Potgeider, 20-year-old kid. And it was great. It was exciting. He was going against Max Grierson, who neither one of them obviously have ever won a PGA Tour event. And they went to a 3-man playoff. First guy, Kirk, got dropped out after the second hole, maybe. But this was very, very exciting. And the kid made a great putt. Very humble kid, only 20 years old. Listen, we still got the Open Championship coming up, so we're going to talk about that in due time. But, you know, the PGA Tour is getting a lot of new names and very exciting finishes. So that was very, very good. Yeah, and Eli, we were going to bring this up, but in notable passings, but I wanted to mention that there's a Liverpool guy, and let me get the name, Diogo Jota, right? And his brother both were killed in a car crash. And,
you know, they both,
yeah, I mean, that's a big loss. And I actually asked our resident expert, Diego, about, you know, I didn't know if this guy was kind of a B player or not. He says, no, he was a key player on that team. So
yes, and he played for Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big loss in the soccer world and a shock for sure.
Yep. And a couple of things, you know, news came out, and I actually had a conversation with a Buffalo Bills fan because their number 1 pick, Maxwell Hairston, is now being accused of sexual assault. The Bills said they investigated this. This happened when he was a freshman at Kentucky. But it just here's just another thing for athletes getting themselves in a quandary. And apparently they said there's nothing here. So this is just stories. But again, You hate to hear, a number one draft pick getting himself
There's
in
always something, and it's never going to end.
always. And by the way, also Jim Harbaugh was named in the criminal investigation against that guy Mike Weiss, former Michigan assistant, who was hacking people's emails and doing
Yeah.
unspeakable things with it. Of course, he denies all charges, but and if Jim Harbaugh didn't know about it, at least the feds think he definitely knew about it. So he's been named in that lawsuit or criminal investigation. And Eli, big. We talked about it last week. Clayton Kershaw did get his 3,000th strikeout, and like I said, it's a rare feat, especially given how many innings these guys throw now. And but I'm happy for him, and he's going to the Hall of Fame, and he's one of them. There's 23,000 members of the Strikeout Club. But there's only 4 left-handers, and Clayton is one of them. CC Sabathia, Steve Carlton, and Randy Johnson, the only four left-handers with 3,000 strikeouts. Congratulations to him.
Congrats on that. That's pretty amazing.
And Eli, like I said, we'd be remiss if we didn't say, if you got nothing going on Saturday night, tonight at 7 a.m., the Savannah
7
Bananas.
p.m.
7 p.m. and they take on the Firefighters. So this will be,
and they're on ESPN, not
yeah,
ESPN2, ESPN, where you watch your NFL games. ESPN, the ESPN. It's amazing. Yeah,
it really is.
If you got nothing to do tonight, take a look and watch that, because
at least watch a couple innings, and don't set expectations like it's going to be the Yankees versus the Mets. This is more of a Harlem Globetrotters play.
But
baseball.
It's funny though. The intros, the walkouts, the
Making
Instagram
money. They're
viral
out
videos.
Stadiums in the U.S. They're selling out.
They sell at Fenway. They're at Fenway tonight. They sell them out. It's amazing. But yeah, take a watch, and if you haven't seen the Instagram videos and the TikTok or whatever you got it for social media, check out their page, because you really can it's amazing what they do. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah. Random points of interest. So we're good. All right.
Well, I think it's time for the entertainment and photos segment. That is sponsored by Vital Selections. You could scan the QR code to learn more.
Okay, Eli. So I got a movie recommendation, and actually, I'm going to put this out to our loyal listener base. You can send us a movie that you think we haven't covered or something. Send us an email.
Show.
Send an email at sportswithmonoandmono.com.
Or leave us in the comments.
Yeah, at google.com, right? And
Gmail.
Gmail,
Google, it's a safe thing. It really is.
You know where I was going. So, yeah, we would love, even comment during the show. We can make a recommendation. But this one comes from one of our loyal listeners, Don Orlowski, because he has ended up watching The Magnificent Seven from 1960, considered one of the great Western movies of all time, with an all-star cast: Charles Bronson, Yul Brynner, and Robert Vaughn. It's just a great movie if you haven't seen it. And I thank Don for that recommendation. I'd love for you guys to give us something, because these are just my opinions. Yeah, I know you have opinions, and we love to hear them.
Absolutely. All right. My recommendation this Thursday, July 10th on ABC, Celebrity Family Feud returns at 8 o'clock, followed by Press Your Luck at 9 o'clock. 2 great game shows. And we're back with ABC Summer Fun and Games. If you have nothing to do on Thursday night, definitely watch it, because it gets me laughing every time. That's for sure. And it gets me on the edge of my seat. So you should definitely take a look at that on ABC.
I cannot watch Celebrity Family Feud. I would rather have a liver transplant than watch.
No, you won't. No, you wouldn't.
Anyway,
have you watched? I mean, I watch Family Feud clips sometimes, and I just start laughing. It's just too funny. Even the regular ones.
I can't say I didn't watch him in the old days when Richard Dawson.
But again, Richard Dawson, there wasn't much of the games. It was more just kissing everybody. You see?
Oh my God, yeah, that was great.
Let's get to some photos.
Okay, Eli. So this is actually a friend of mine. He's a reenactor, And they were doing a reenactment at the Battle of Bunker Hill. So we
Ah,
talked about
yes.
the 4th of July, and these were the guys. That's what they dressed like. And that was the start of the American Revolution. And, he does a great job. It's very interesting stuff. I've been to some reenactments. They're great. Here's a picture. I don't know who found it or where it came from, but uh, it's so funny to see these pictures because there's kids in there, and my little brother Steve, of course, is in there. So this is his age group, and I was
You're not in
going
there, are
through.
you?
I'm not in this one. No, I was older than he was, but
Oh,
I look at all the coaches and look at these kids, and now he's sitting right next to one of his best buddies, Ricky Rax, and it's just so cool to see these old pictures. It's very funny, actually. This
wow.
is from 1974, Eli.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Okay. And hey, talking about football and what football and sports, why it's a club, and these are lifelong friends. And I had an opportunity. These are four of my teammates from St. Joe's, and I hadn't seen a couple of them in many years, and it just goes to show the bond. We picked up right where we left off. Yes, we look a little bit older than we did back in 1980,
Ah,
but I'll concede that. But still great people. Um, this is yesterday. I went to the Patterson Great Falls, and if you haven't been there, it's a very key component where Alexander Hamilton met George Washington.
yep.
Again, sticking with the American
History theme.
Revolution and the battle for independence. But this is it's a national landmark,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
it's pretty cool. I've been there a couple of times, and there's like a little park, I guess you could say, where you can just
yep,
walk around, take a look
yep,
at the falls. And I think there's like I call it a factory, but on the left hand side by the park where it is, you could see like where the water it's like comes out in like the sewer system. I guess you could say. I don't know what you would call it, but yeah,
yeah, and
it's
this
pretty
was
cool though.
it was strategically picked, and that's what all of the silk and dye houses and manufacturing, all those brick buildings. A lot of them are, most of them are closed by now, but it was picked
Yeah,
there to do that. So it was great, great if you haven't been. And there's my granddaughter Hayden. She's sitting at the pool with her red, white, and blue ice pop.
I
So
love
they
the
were in the
spirit of the red,
pool.
white, and blue. That's for sure.
Beautiful girl.
All right. Well, we do have some notable passings now.
We do.
Jim, you can start us off.
All right, Eli. So it's somebody, and I try to recall how long ago it was, but Dave Parker, who was just inducted into or about to become inducted into the Hall of Fame, passed away at 74. I always said it took him way long to get into the Hall of Fame, and there may have been some reasons. This off the field stuff, but uh, that was a shocker because the Hall of Fame game and induction was coming up, so he's not going to be there. That's a big loss for Major League Baseball, and I thought he
100%.
was absolutely a great player. Um, and this is very special also to my sister, D. Wayne Lucas, one of the all-time greats. My sister even calls him the GOAT of horse racing. He was a trainer,
Ooh.
and he
Mhm.
was 89 years old, and he was just at the Kentucky Derby and at the Belmont Stakes, and he passed away surprisingly, but left an indelible mark on
That's for
um,
sure.
horse racing. Just a quality, classy guy, and I know my sister's a little bummed about that, but also from the world of sports, Alex Delvecchio, who was basically the last remaining surviving member of the 52, 54, and 55 Detroit Red Wings championship team. And he played on a line with Gordie Howe and Ted Lindsay. So this was a great player and went on to coach and so forth after. But like I said, he won 3 cups with the Red Wings. And, that's a big loss for the world of hockey when you lose an icon like that. And also, Michael Madsen, I guess best known to me for his role in Reservoir Dogs,
Yes.
um,
Reservoir.
uh,
Hmm.
67 years old. So he passed away. Great great actor. Actually, I kind of enjoyed
Yeah.
his movies. So that was a big loss. And of course, we don't talk politics or religion on our show, but Jimmy Swaggart, you can't deny his impact on culture from being one of the original televangelists. And,
Yes.
but he had a big influence, made a lot of money, even as a country singer singing gospel songs. He was 90 years old.
Yes. And the last one I have is from the movie Fantastic Four, playing the role as Dr. Doom. Julian McMahon has passed away. He was born in 1968 and he was 56 years old.
Oh, okay. Well, wow. We cover a gamut, didn't we?
Wow, we not much sports happening this week. We really did talk a lot, and we really thank everybody for commenting and for joining us today.
You
We're
bet.
not sure about the time for next week's show, so stay tuned and post it on our social medias, our YouTube, and we will
Yeah.
keep you posted as soon as we find out the information.
Yep. And just like I said, pass the word to all your friends, subscribe to our channel,
Yep.
and we really do appreciate all your support. So thank you. And Eli, you have a great Saturday, and all of our
You
loyal
as well.
listeners enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend. And like Eli said, we'll let you guys know what time we're going to be doing the show next week.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day, and
Good.
we will keep you all up to date, and we will see you next time.
You got it. Thanks for the comments too, guys. Bye.
Bye.